Makoma, of course, is with us this morning. As mentioned, she is a director and coordinator at Earthlife Africa. So wonderful to have you, Makoma. Thanks for being our guest here on the program. Makoma, good morning. Are you able to hear me?
Good morning to your viewers. I hear you very well. Good morning and good morning to your viewers.
Excellent. Good. I'm so glad. We've got a very bad link with you, but I'm going to try. I'm going to ask you a question and let's just see how it goes. Before we get into the hardcore business, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, what you did before public activism.
Thank you very much. I was born in Soweto and I'm still around there. And I went to school in Soweto. The high school that I went to was Santa Marina High School. After that, I was forced to work because of the circumstances, and I found myself being a shop steward at the Commercial Catering and Allied Workers Union, where I think much of my activism has been honed. And after that, that's when I joined the civil society movements and working around issues of women's rights, issues of literacy, and of social and environmental justice.
Yeah. So then obviously getting into the activism and particularly into energy matters, it's kind of a niche sector, and also fighting a big beast like Russia and nuclear energy and the government of South Africa is not a small task. So talk to us about your interest in that.
I got myself into the sector, firstly as a popular education practitioner, but also because I lived in a township where we had continuous access to energy issues. You'd remember that Soweto is one of those areas where people stood up and said, we have the right to access to electricity, and we're not having that free basic electricity that is supposed by policy to be allocated to people. People are not accessing that. And that's the interest that I had, wanting to know more. But moreover, that Earthlife Africa invited me to be part of the activists within the organization. And that's when I learned more about energy politics, energy issues, climate change, how all these issues interlinked. And then I found that all these issues are intersectional, whether it's energy, whether it's social issues, whether it's issues around food security, whether it's issues around proper health. These are all intersectional issues. They do link to climate change. They do link to energy. Either way, we are faced with the threat of climate change, and that is why the activism that we have is also around focusing on how energy is or electricity is generated, because that is where most of the emissions that finally cause global warming and cause climate change come from.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite fascinating that we, you know, as South Africans, we didn't really know too much about this deal, and your Russian counterpart actually told Earthlife, and you brought this to the public's knowledge, and of course, as I mentioned in the introduction, the case was successful, and the court set the agreement aside that could have cost South Africa billions. You've obviously since been viewed as a fighter who decided to challenge the abuse of power. Do you accept this accolade? Is it something that you will continue to do and I imagine have continued to do?
I just want to highlight that this was a collective effort. Earthlife Africa as an organization took that decision because these are the issues that we've worked around. Earthlife is unashamedly an anti-nuclear organization, and this is part of the work that we've been doing. So the organization took that decision, and then we called out to partners, and that's where SABC also came in and joined, and this is where a friend, a comrade, a sister, Liz McDade, also led from the SABC side, and from Earthlife side. That's when both of us were actually the ones that were filing papers on behalf of the two organizations. And our counterpart from Russia played a very important role, Vladimir Silviak, in getting us the documents, in ensuring that he follows up. And obviously, because he's been studying what the Russian Africans are doing, particularly when it comes to energy, which is unjust energy. He has been instrumental, but Liz Medate, who is also, I can say also is a mentor at the same time, she, together with SAFSE, myself together with Earthlife, we actually forged ahead because we knew that there's a lot of energy injustice in the country and we needed to sort it out. Liz is now also challenging the car power ships, and we also from Earthlife side looking into other issues, particularly in the past few days. We've just launched a judicial review on a coal mine in Limpopo. So the work continues. The work is a combination and a collective of different strategies. But what I can say also is that with the campaign against that proposal of new nuclear reactors, it was women who formed the core campaigners. Women from different areas, from different townships, informal settlements, even some of the women that would never think that they would be part of that, because people were worried much more around what the impact of this nuclear construction is going to be. It was going to cost us a lot of money. It's dangerous. Even today, we don't know where we can save. We can safely store the waste that comes from Quebec Power Station. And in the past few months, there's been concerns about Quebec leakaging, radiation. And so that is a time bomb for Cape Town. That is a time bomb for South Africa. And the women in this country, particularly those who led the campaign and who were part of the campaign, I mean, did something miraculous. And it shows that democracy, or instilling democracy, is part of what we live for, but at the same time, it's respecting humanity and respecting the planet.
Oh man, I so want to talk to you more. I see the time we're running into, because I mean, Makoma, I know that after the nuclear deal, the announcement in 2014, you and Liz led protests. I mean, you used to, if memory serves, I mean, you guys would stand at the gates in Parliament every Wednesday as the President and the ministers came through those gates for their cabinet meetings. And I mean, that kind of resonates, that you know, when you come together, no matter what the issue, you stand together on empowerment and issues that you feel very passionate about, something that I imagine is exactly what the women of 1956 did. However, I'd love to challenge you more a little bit on the power issues, because I mean, at the moment, you know, we're in a very difficult situation when it comes to Eskom and the power supply. But perhaps if you will accept our invitation to come back and talk more about this, because you know, with all of this happening, I suppose that you do have views and comments on this as well.
You're most welcome. I'm available, and I can also bring my sister and comrade Liz so that you can talk to us both.
Amazing. We would love that. We really would, because I think it's important to get your voices on it. But we've got to say goodbye at this point, unfortunately. So that was Earthlife Makoma Lekalakala, and she, of course, is the director and coordinator at Earthlife Africa, focusing on women who've made impacts in various ways. And we hope to speak to her again.